The grand auditorium in the heart of Neon City thundered with applause and the relentless click of camera shutters the instant my official retirement statement flashed across every major news feed and social platform. Crowds gathered outside the towering glass facade of Vertex Entertainment's headquarters, spilling onto the rain-slicked streets of the downtown district. They held up handmade banners and chanted my name as if the music world itself had lost its guiding star. The entire city seemed to throw an impromptu parade in my honor. Everyone celebrated the end of an era, that is, except for Cale Thorne, the audacious indie rock sensation who was skyrocketing up the charts and the same men tabloids whispered my girlfriend had been secretly involved with behind my back. Standing front and center amid a chaotic swarm of reporters and paparazzi, he delivered a flawless performance of feigned devastation, his voice cracking just enough to sell the emotion. "This entire situation is nothing but a heartbreaking misunderstanding," he said, locking eyes with the cameras, his expression polished with that practiced sincerity that came from years of small stage charisma. Jackson Hale stands as an irreplaceable cornerstone of the Neon City music industry. My deepest wish is for him to return to the stage where he truly belongs. I switched off my phone without a second thought, refusing to take the bait he so obviously dangled. In my previous life, my lead single, a track I had poured my soul into, had been accused of being a note-for-note ripoff of his so-called original debut. The internet turned into a vicious mob overnight, labeling me a plagiarism-obsessed hack who deserved to watch his career crumble to dust. They said I had it coming, that I merited total ruin. Desperate to clear my name, I posted everything: raw voice memos captured in the dead of night, lyrics scribbled on crumpled napkins during late-night diner runs, time-stamped Logic profiles documenting every layer and edit from my creative process. But none of it made a difference. His version hit Spotify playlists exactly 10 minutes before mine did. Those 10 minutes were all it took to ignite a firestorm. Fans sent black funeral wreaths piling up at my doorstep like grim offerings. They photoshopped my face onto crime scene photos and autopsy images, flooding my feeds with grotesque memes. Some crossed every line, tracking down my private address and slashing red paint across my front porch in the dead of night, leaving messages like "thief's blood" scrawled in dripping letters. The years of relentless cyberbullying spiraled me into a suffocating depression, a darkness so profound I could barely function. My parents drained their life savings on high-powered lawyers and PR firms in a futile bid to salvage my reputation, only to meet a horrific end when one unhinged fanatic set our family home ablaze with them inside. Finally, on the night Cale accepted Songwriter of the Year for the very track he had stolen from the depths of my heart, I climbed to the roof of a 20-story skyscraper in Neon City's financial district and stepped off into the void. But then, my eyes fluttered open. I had been reborn, thrust back to the precise morning when the doomed single was scheduled to drop across all platforms. "Jackson, your new track launches on every streaming service at noon today, right on schedule," said Victor Kane, my longtime manager, clapping a firm hand on my shoulder with unshakable confidence. "Hey, don't look so wound up. With the sheer brilliance of this song, the Grammy for Best New Artist is practically in the bag already." I gasped for air, my chest heaving as if I had just clawed my way out from under tons of rubble. Glancing around the familiar clutter of my downtown Neon City loft, scattered guitar picks, half-empty coffee mugs, and the glow of my monitors, while seeing Victor's furrowed brow of confusion, the truth slammed into me like a freight train. I was back. It was the morning of the release, the clock ticking down mercilessly toward catastrophe. "You've been burning the midnight oil for days straight to perfect this masterpiece," Victor continued, oblivious. "I'm clearing your entire schedule for the next few days. Just get some real sleep, you've earned it." "Wait," I called out sharply as he turned toward the door, my voice steadier than I felt. My eyes were riveted to the oversized wall clock, its second hand sweeping forward with ruthless precision. When the minute hand struck 11:50 a.m., I snatched my phone and pulled up X, typing "Cale Thorne" into the search bar with trembling fingers. Just as in my past life, his post appeared instantly, a sleek link to a private streaming site. The caption read, "Shadows of Dawn, my first fully original single, dedicated to everyone who's ever wandered lost in the darkness. Listen now." I tapped the link without hesitation. A haunting acoustic guitar riff filled the room, followed by those soft, melodic vocals that wove through the lyrics like silk over steel. Victor rushed over, snatching the phone from my hand to listen himself. "Jackson, this is your song," he said, his voice laced with disbelief. "The melody, the lyrics, the structure, it's identical to everything you've built. This is your original creation. How in the world did Cale Thorne release it first?" Even as Victor fumed, a chill ran down my spine. I remembered something odd from Cale's social media, a photo from months back where he'd posed with Leora in front of a dimly lit Thai street market stall. There, dangling from his neck on a thin cord, was a strange obsidian pendant, etched with unfamiliar symbols that seemed to pulse unnaturally in the low light. I dismissed it as exotic jewelry at the time, but now it felt like an omen, a whisper of something darker lurking beneath his polished image. "It has to be an inside job at the studio," Victor growled, his face turning a deep shade of crimson with fury. "You stay put. I'm going to tear through every single person involved until I find out who leaked it, even if it's the last thing I do." I grabbed his arm firmly before he could storm out. "Stop. Tell the label to pull my release immediately. Cancel everything." In my previous life, putting out the same song after Cale had made me the undisputed villain, the plagiarist everyone loved to hate. I had desperately tried to prove my innocence by flooding the internet with my drafts and process files, but the public didn't care about evidence. "You stole it, Jackson. Just admit it already," they raged in the comments. "Imagine faking an entire creative process just to cover up your theft. How utterly pathetic. Go rot in hell, we stand with Cale." Victor and my loyal studio engineers had stood by me through the storm, only to be dragged through the mud right alongside me, their reputations tainted by association. Then came the ultimate betrayal from Leora Voss, the A-list actress who was supposed to be my girlfriend. She went live on Instagram, not just flirting openly with Cale but delivering a vicious public takedown of my dishonesty, claiming she'd known all along I was a fraud. I'd previewed the song for her first, in the quiet intimacy of our shared nights, trusting her completely. She had knifed me in the back without a shred of remorse to elevate her childhood friend from back home, Cale Thorne. Her enormous fanbase followed her lead, swarming my social media accounts with an endless torrent of vitriol and hate. Collaborators treated me like a walking plague. Anyone who dared stay silent rather than join the pile-on was attacked mercilessly as well. The industry effectively blacklisted me, stripping away previous awards and dropping me from my agency without a second thought. Every time Cale released a new hit single, my name got dragged back into the spotlight just to be mocked and humiliated all over again. The funeral wreaths kept coming, the vandalism escalated, the depression deepened, culminating in the fire that claimed my parents' lives. When Cale took the stage that night, trophy in hand for my stolen work, I couldn't take it anymore. But now, the universe, or some higher power, had given me a second chance at life. And this time, I was determined to uncover exactly how Cale was pulling off his impossible thefts. Jackson, the label dumped a fortune into marketing this single, billboards across Neon City, targeted social media takeovers, influencer campaigns, Victor said, pacing the loft anxiously. "If I tell them we're scrapping it now, they'll have my head on a platter. Look, I'll handle the leak investigation myself. You focus on writing something new, a replacement track, fast." After Victor left in a huff, I sank onto the leather sofa and sat there for what felt like hours, my mind churning through every detail. Cale was Leora's best friend from their rough upbringing in the gritty East Quarter neighborhoods of Neon City. They had grown up together, their bond talked about in tabloids as legendary and unbreakable. After Cale graduated from an elite music academy overseas, Leora had used her status as the nation's sweetheart actress to pull strings and get him signed to Vertex Entertainment, the undisputed powerhouse of the entertainment world. His debut single even became the theme song for a massive Hollywood blockbuster, skyrocketing him to instant fame. I never received the kind of preferential treatment because Leora was fiercely protective of him, always putting him first, and using me as a stepping stone to boost his career while plotting to discard me. I'd felt pangs of jealousy about it, but whenever I confronted her, she gaslit me relentlessly, insisting their families were intertwined and that helping him was her duty, or else she'd look heartless in the public eye. I'd swallowed it to keep the peace, blind to the fact that she and Cale had been scheming together from the start, viewing me as nothing more than a talented fool to exploit. I began scrolling through Cale's older social media posts, hunting for any hint or clue that might explain his prescience. Finally, I found it, a post from exactly a month earlier, dated August 26th. It was a photo of his cluttered desk setup, captioned simply, "Inspiration is flowing like never before." I zoomed in closely on the image, and my heart skipped several beats. There, on the handwritten notes scattered across his desk, were the exact same creative decisions I had mapped out in my own process, the phrasing logic, the chord progressions, even lyrics I had eventually deleted and discarded as too raw. And beside the notes sat that same obsidian pendant from the Thai market photo, now prominently displayed like a talisman. A strange coincidence. Or something more sinister. This song was deeply personal, drawn straight from my own harrowing experience surviving a massive earthquake in Hawaii during a solo trip. There was no possible way for Cale to have arrived at the same conclusions independently. Had he somehow lived through that same disaster? Impossible. He and Leora were East Quarter kids through and through, never setting foot on the Pacific Islands. So how did he possess my exact handwritten drafts, down to the ink smudges? Before I could process the implications, my phone buzzed with a call from Victor. As expected, his investigation had hit a complete dead end, no leaks traced, no digital hacks uncovered, no suspicious activity in the studio logs. I was cornered. Victor was right, the label had invested millions in hype, from massive billboard campaigns dominating Times Square equivalents in Neon City to viral TikTok challenges teasing the drop. To prevent them from suffering a total financial disaster, I had no choice but to create something fresh. I locked myself inside my home studio, the soundproofed sanctuary filled with guitars, synthesizers, and flickering screens. Picking up my old Gibson Les Paul, my hands shook uncontrollably at first. This time, I told myself, I was the one channeling vengeance. I poured every ounce of betrayal, every echo of agony from my past life, into the chords and riffs. I didn't for a second believe Cale had been reborn with memories too, that was too far-fetched even for me. In just 48 grueling hours, with no sleep and endless coffee, I finished a completely new track. It was worlds apart from the original, a raw, gritty rock anthem with blistering guitars, pounding drums, and lyrics that screamed defiance. I recorded a rough demo on a spare burner phone, completely offline and untraceable, then sent it straight to Victor. His response came in seconds, 5 consecutive mind-blown emojis, followed by a voice note bursting with excitement. "Rock, Jackson. You're a freaking genius. Is there anything you can't do?" Before I could reply, another message pinged, "Studio is fully booked and prepped. I'm picking you up in an hour, let's make this official." By the time we emerged from the professional recording booth, the first rays of dawn were peeking over the Neon City skyline, painting the streets in golden hues. Victor stretched his arms wide, yawning dramatically. The 4th of July weekend is coming up fast, that's a high-stakes launch window. The label wants to drop this on July 3rd for maximum impact. What do you think? I didn't answer right away. Instead, I turned to him with a pointed question. What's the latest on Cale Thorne? I have a solid contact inside Vertex, Victor replied, lowering his voice. Word is, Cale's been a total ghost. Hasn't shown his face at the office in days. No one has a clue what he's up to. Normally, after a breakout hit like that, you'd be on a non-stop press tour, interviews, photo shoots, the works. This silence from him is deafening. It struck me as deeply suspicious, far too strange for a rising star basking in glory. To avoid any risk of another eerie coincidence, I needed to play it safe and observe. Let's go with July 3rd, I said firmly. Back in my loft, for the first time since my rebirth, I collapsed into bed and slept deeply, undisturbed by the nightmares that had haunted me relentlessly. I was jolted awake hours later by a frantic pounding on my front door, loud enough to rattle the frame. It was Victor, his face ashen and voice cracking with urgency. "Jackson, it's happening again," he yelled, bursting inside without waiting for an invitation. "Cale just dropped another track, and it's the rock song. It's exactly the same as the demo you sent me yesterday." His words hit me like a physical blow to the chest, knocking every bit of newfound courage right out of me. Why? Why couldn't I escape this cycle? Was I doomed to live forever in Cale Thorne's shadow, forced to abandon music entirely just to avoid feeding his thefts? I had been meticulous, no primary phone used, no network computer touched during composition, the demo isolated on a burner device. How could he possibly know? How was he hearing the music echoing inside my own head? As if on cue, another oddity surfaced in my mind. Weeks ago, during a casual video call with Leora, I'd absent-mindedly twisted the silver ring she'd given me for Valentine's Day, a handcrafted gift she insisted I never remove. She'd smiled too knowingly when I did, her eyes flicking to it like she could hear my unspoken thoughts through the metal. Over on X, Cale was trending worldwide for the 3rd consecutive day, his 2 singles dominating the top spots on every chart simultaneously. His prodigy status had ballooned to mythic proportions, overshadowing even established legends of the industry. A fan commented on his abrupt shift to rock, asking for insight, and Cale fired back publicly, "My previous work was being copied by someone I thought I could trust. Luckily, I moved my release date up, or I'd never have been able to prove it was mine all along." This new track is a direct warning to those who steal the hard work of true creators. Talent is a real artist's only true shield, and I am someone you will never, ever catch up to. That bold declaration set the entire internet ablaze, sparking endless debates and quote tweets. People immediately swarmed my old posts, connecting the dots. "Cale's talking about you, isn't he, Jackson? Where's that new song you teased? Cat got your tongue now that the real talent exposed you. I bet your old albums were ghostwritten too, what a fraud." Even though I hadn't released a single note, the narrative of me as the thief took hold like wildfire. But without concrete proof on my side, my core fanbase fought back fiercely in the comments sections, igniting full-scale wars. Cale, as a relative newcomer, didn't have a deeply loyal following yet, just casual listeners riding the hype wave and Leora's rabid supporters. For the first time, the tides of public opinion began to subtly turn against him amid the mounting drama. That's when Leora decided to intervene with her trademark ultimatum. "You're coming to Cale's celebration party tomorrow night," she demanded over the phone, her voice cold and commanding, leaving no room for argument. I let out a sharp, bitter laugh that echoed through the empty loft. "And why exactly would I do that? After you sold me out to the world." Her tone sharpened like a blade. "Your fans are cyberbullying him nonstop. He's been drowning his sorrows in bottles for 2 straight days because of the stress it's causing. If you want any chance of salvaging this relationship, you'll show up at that party, smile for the cameras, and shut down these ridiculous rumors once and for all." Cale had stolen the work of my life, the essence of my creativity, and she expected me to go celebrate his success. The idea sickened me to my core, but I knew deep down I had to attend. Getting close to him was the only way to unravel his impossible secret, and to confront her betrayal head-on. The party took place in the opulent penthouse suite at Vertex Entertainment's flagship tower, pulsing with bass-heavy music, flashing strobe lights, and a sea of industry sycophants dressed in designer labels. Leora was draped possessively over Cale's arm, surrounded by a gaggle of hangers-on and lesser executives eager to bask in his glow. Cale's first 2 tracks have broken every streaming record in history. They've held #1 for a full week straight, one producer gushed, raising a champagne flute. "Those ballads were absolute tear-jerkers, man. But that rock track. It hit me right in the soul. You're the undisputed new king of songwriting." One of Cale's assistants shot me a venomous dirty look from across the room. Unlike some people who hide behind a so-called genius label while they're really just shoplifting ideas from real talent, she muttered loud enough for nearby guests to hear. I forced a thin smile, stepping closer into the circle. "Cale truly is a rare once-in-a-generation talent. Since you're such a master craftsman, Cale, care to tell us why you chose to write that first hit in E minor?" Cale didn't respond immediately. He shared a quick, knowing glance with Leora, a flicker of unease passing between them, and there it was again, that obsidian pendant glinting under the strobe lights, tucked just inside his collar. "Jackson, that's enough," Leora snapped, stepping forward aggressively to position herself like a human shield in front of him. "Cale was kind enough to invite you here despite everything that's happened. Don't come into his night trying to start trouble and ruin it for everyone." Her desperate need to protect him confirmed it all. She was his accomplice from day one, never my partner. "He's a creative genius, isn't he?" I challenged, my voice steady and probing. "Surely he can explain his own composition without issue. There's nothing to hide, right?" Cale shifted uncomfortably but finally spoke. "Major keys are for shallow pop fluff, surface-level happiness that evaporates. Minor keys capture real grief, the kind that lingers. If you play Shadows of Dawn at 0.75x speed, you'll hear it. The track was never meant to be uplifting. The minor key is the only choice that fits the soul-crushing core of the song." My heart hammered violently against my ribs. That was my exact thought process, word for word, a deeply personal production secret I had buried in the track purely for my own reference during mixing sessions, an Easter egg no one else could possibly know about. The world tilted on its axis around me. "Thanks for the explanation," I said coolly, turning on my heel. "I have to go." As I pushed through the crowd toward the VIP lounge exit, Leora caught up, grabbing my arm roughly. What the hell was that? You just had to try and humiliate him in front of everyone, didn't you? I turned to face her, feeling nothing but cold, final disgust. We're over, Leora. You chose him, your scheming partner in crime. I'm quitting the industry entirely. Heading back to Dust Haven. Enjoy your fraud king. She scoffed, her mask slipping fully. Dramatic much? Running home to lay bricks with your contractor dad. Good luck paying those termination fees, you'll be broke and begging. I flashed a cold smile. You have no idea who I really am. Leora remained clueless. My father had risen from humble contractor to Dust Haven's real estate emperor, his portfolio spanning skyscrapers and luxury enclaves. Those fees were pocket change, a single penthouse sale. Quitting would starve Cale's pipeline forever. I went straight to Victor the next morning. My retirement news floored him. The label won't let you walk, 3 years locked in. Are you sure? I nodded firmly. Birds gotta fly. We shook hands, and a massive weight lifted. The agency announced the split, trolls crowed online, Jackson's fleeing guilty, tail between his legs. I packed for the airport without a care. Victor texted a clip of Cale's press conference, fake humility, bowing pleas for my return. I shut it off as the plane lifted into the clouds. Dust Haven welcomed me with my father's sleek Rolls-Royce at the curb. My mother crushed me in a fierce hug, my father bruised my shoulder with his grip. The industry's full of sharks, Mom whispered. If they devoured you, quit the game. You're home now. Over a lavish family dinner, I spilled everything, the thefts, Leora's malice, the unnatural coincidences. Mom wept, Dad crushed his cigar, I steal. They'll learn dirty from the master. Take Mom traveling, I'll investigate. We jetted off, Giza's pyramids at dawn, Santorini's cliffs, Iceland's swirling auroras. Melodies brewed in my mind, but I kept silent, fearing the drain. Mom noticed, life's a mosaic, son. We're your anchor. Renewed after 4 months, I dove into Dad's Dust Haven HQ, buried in deals. Dad schemed mysteriously. Leora's video call came during a vendor dinner, threats of blacklisting, then fake pleas for new songs. Her eyes lingered on my twisting ring, I blocked her, her greed blind to my empire. Victor invaded my office one day. Swanky digs. Knew you were loaded. Nah. Cale's dark, burnout lie. No new music, ghosted his comp show. Suspicion flared. Ghostwrite. Mira Sterling demands your track. Trap, Mira, Leora's snob sister. I wrote a poison pill demo with hidden fraud notes. Cale stole my vault melody from paper notes. Despair hit, Victor backed off. Cale's smashes ruled charts, Leora's IG gushed, hashtag Team LeoraCale forever. I ignored Dust Haven billboards, tuning into Mom's TV for Cale's music comp show. The stage lights blazed as Cale performed his latest hit before celebrity judges. Fawning praise flowed, poetic lyrics, A+. But the conservatory professor squinted at sheets. Bridge resolves oddly. The keyboardist played, notes spelled, I am a fraud, phonetically. Silence choked the arena. Suicide note in melody. Lyrics probed, shadow of father's stolen history, misfit for love. Cale stammered metaphors, laughter erupted. Quoting idea thieves. Fraud. He hurled his mic, storming off amid boos. Mom cheered, long game genius. Dad called, Thailand lead, fly now. Leora harassed at the airport, you rigged it, defamation. Courts await. In Bangkok, Dad led us to a tattooed Ajarn in white robes, incense thick in his chamber. He zeroed on my ring. Obsidian pendulum glowed sickly black over it. Gumanthong spirit ashes, slave ring. Master on Cale transmits thoughts. Soul nearly faded. Valentine's gift from Leora. Mom sobbed, Ajarn claimed it. 15-day ritual, stay indoors, chant 5 times daily. We holed up in a guarded safe house. Days blurred, dawn chants over flickering candles, noon recitals with incense coils rising like spirits, evening prayers amid storm winds rattling shutters, midnight vows under starless skies. Offerings of rice and fruit-lined altars, the Ajarn danced with bells, smoke swirling as he bound the entity. Tension built, headaches eased, dreams cleared. Day 10, my original Shadows session leaked online, time-stamped pre-KO. Leora's defenses flopped. Dad's air presser boomed, billionaire steals from rookie. He demoed casually. Public flipped, Jackson's too rich for scraps. Leora spam called shrieks to begs, blocked. Day 14, screams pierced chants. Peering out, Leora at gates, face pustuled, clawing pavement, howling my name in agony. Magic backlash scarred her forever, career ashes. She'd source tie curse for puppet prodigy. Day 15, garden air purified. Mind fog lifted. Victor called, Kale bit staff, ranted reapers. Now catatonic, brain wiped. Parents beamed, go create. 1 year later, LA Arena roared. Grammy songwriter, Jackson hail. Confetti fell, mine reclaimed.